All right, so we're recording.
All right.
So good morning. First off, I'm John Freitag. I'm with All American Hospice. I haven't done any of these videos in a little while. I had been doing them early on in COVID when I was sort of stuck in the house, wasn't able to get out to the nursing facilities. Fortunately, that had changed and I was out and about more often. So these kind of fell to the wayside. I wanted to try to start them up a little bit. Julio had reached out and we decided it would be a good opportunity to put together this little video just to get to know each other. This is actually probably, and I was talking to Julio about this before the video. A lot of the old ones I had known the people, they were colleagues from healthcare that I've run into in the field over, the course of time. Julio is probably the first person I never really met in real life, or one of the few people that I've never met in real life that we've been doing these videos. So without further ado, Julio Briones, Briones Consulting. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Julio, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you said, I'm with Briones Consulting Group. We're based out of New Jersey, but work all over the U.S. and Canada. And I've actually, I can say I went international about a month ago. Got a client in London. So
Congratulations.
thank you. And we specialize in working with home care, home health, hospice on management and business development activity improvement. And just as a little side gig, we also give as CEUs to social workers and nurses under a dementia care, Alzheimer's care, and dementia training seminar.
That's really cool. And being that you're national as well as now international, there's got to be tons of different regs and everything that you need to know, or is it sort of like, how does that work?
Well, I don't do licensing at all.
Okay.
Because of that same reason. There's 51 different sets of rules in the United States alone, and let's not even get into Canada and the UK. The rules just get crazy, especially in Canada and the UK where they have the socialized medical medical plans. So I don't do that. What we do is we focus on creating the systems that you need and helping improve things through additional programs, value adds,
Gotcha.
and implementing things like quality assurance programs that actually generate and improve your recruitment process and your client acquisition process. All of these things, because let's face it, why do we go into business if not to get a little bit of freedom?
Right.
And most home care agency owners, at least the ones that are under that 3-year mark in operation, they are chained to their desk. They have no idea how to grow their business beyond a certain point because they don't have anything in place. They're just like, well, I'm the manager, I'm the recruiter, I'm the salesperson.
Yeah, they're
I'm
doing it all.
the in-homes. And it's like, all
Right.
right, well, when do you get to enjoy your family and your money?
Sure. Yeah, and it was many years ago. But my boss, the owner of All American, he at one point was doing everything, and that's when I met him. He's grown the business substantially since then. So he's
Right.
Not in that same do it all role, but still really involved.
You have to let go of control if you want the business to grow. I mean, look, I love what I do, but I got to tell you, there's aspects of my business I hate. All right.
Yeah.
Like I hate doing billing and payroll. So I found somebody to do it for me. And that's really the general rule of life. If you don't like doing it, don't.
Right. That makes sense. So the consulting business is not training, with rules and regs. It's more census growing and just
census growing, people management.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And you said you do the dementia certifications as well. So that's with the social workers and the nurses.
Yeah. It's actually a really cool thing that I picked up the certification right before COVID. Actually, in November of last year, I became a certified Alzheimer's disease and dementia care trainer. Then COVID hit, so that kind of stopped everything.
Right.
But the reason I went and got this is one, I really wanted to provide value. And my own father, may he rest in peace, he passed away from cognitive issues. All right. Got some brain tumors that started showing and demonstrating like dementia. I love hospice because they really helped him pass peacefully.
Right.
So I'm always been a big fan of what you guys do, just because of the peace of mind you bring.
Sure.
But when I started doing this, I'm like, well, this is a way I can help people understand better what these cognitive issues are and how to deal with them. I can help the social work and nursing community by helping them progress their careers. And I can help my own clients because now here's a value add. Hey, let me come in and train your people. You have a marketing edge and differentiator for what you're going through. And you can bring people from the out of their facilities to visit you
Hmm.
to help give them something that they need, which is the certification and the CEUs. So
Right.
it just one of those things that I just overall it made sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. And that's when like when we try to do different things with facilities, we try to add value. It's more than just,
Yeah.
just big part of it's showing up with, junk and everything, but we try to
Yep.
add value as well, because
Exactly.
that's the people they want to do business with, and why else waste their time talking to you?
Exactly. Exactly. One of the things I found in my career is that whole know, like, and trust thing. I mean,
Mhm.
that hands
Yeah.
down. It's great. But if I give you, I bring you a coffee mug. Great. I
Mhm.
brought you something. You can use it. But where does that help you?
Right.
So giving you stuff, great. I give you a lunch and learn. Fantastic. You have lunch. I saved you $10 that day.
Yeah.
Awesome. But how can I show you I'm really dedicated to you if I'm not giving you something that you can go beyond that 1 hour meeting?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. A skill that they can lean on to. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
how long have you been doing the consulting?
Well, I've been a consultant since 2015, but my background, I've actually been doing this for a lot longer than that. I started in home care, to date myself. Back in the 90s in high
Okay.
school, I used to work as a part-time recruiter for a Medicaid agency.
Yeah.
And that's where I learned the business. And throughout my career, I've been doing this off and on. I'm 44 now, so I've been doing this off and on for a long time, for about
Okay.
I'm gonna say solid 20 years out of the last
Yeah.
30. And my career took me from that into business development, office management, regional management, and then it ultimately brought me into franchising. I'm not going to mention the franchisor, that's between me and them at this point, but
Okay.
I actually helped build their system from the ground up. Like
Yeah.
I came in, they had something, they were franchising, but they had no real system in place,
Right.
and we built it complete. Hey, this is how you market, this is how you recruit. Here's a step-by-step procedure to the point where I've gotten it refined between them and my own practice to where I can essentially put the systems you need in place, like teach you based on what you're already doing,
Mhm.
to where you're semi-absentee. You're really only showing up once or twice a month to make sure nobody's skimming the books.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, systems are incredible. I've worked for a couple different nursing homes, and
Mhm.
some have different systems. Some are better than others.
Of course.
But when you have something that's good, that's in place, it's pretty much idiot proof. You just
Yeah.
follow the steps. As long as
Yeah.
everyone's doing their job, it works out.
Exactly. I mean, it's cost effective and it does dramatically improve your quality of life.
Right.
And because again, I keep going back to that because that to me is a big deal. I mean, we were talking before. I got young kids.
Hmm.
I mean, I have a 22-year-old. She's awesome. She's doing her thing, but I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. You
Yeah.
know, it's so much a big part of my life to be with them, that it's just I need to have that freedom, that quality of life. And I think, again, we all go into business because we don't want to be working for someone else for the rest of our life, and we want that freedom to enjoy what we have. You know,
Sure.
you got to
Yeah.
love what you do. You also have to love everything you do outside of your work.
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm not a business owner, but working for the hospice company,
Right.
in the sales department, it's great because you are working sometimes, more hours, and sometimes you're
Yeah.
working on the weekends, and sometimes, but
Yeah.
if it's something that you enjoy and you have a good team, it's great,
Right.
and it
But
does give you some freedoms for other things as well.
even though you work for All American Hospice, you run the sales team, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
Yep.
So it's not much different. I mean, look, entrepreneurship is as important as entrepreneurship, and it's the same principles apply. If you don't have your own, I'm sure you've developed your own systems and strategies
Right.
to minimize oversight, to minimize that micromanagement, and that's
Right.
what it's about. And
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. And micromanagement, no one's a fan. So, I mean, if you can
no.
put systems in place,
Mhm.
whether it just be, information that you can share freely and,
Yeah.
now with your cell phone, you can pretty much do everything,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
can,
I live off of mine.
it's great. I'm between like Google Sheets and you can share stuff back and forth with different
Hmm.
people. It's amazing, you're not tethered to a computer. You
Yeah,
can do it all on the road.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of my day is just being out there, hitting all the different nursing homes,
Hmm.
all the different assisted livings, trying to
Yeah,
be in front of people.
building those relationships.
Correct.
Look, that's actually one of my big philosophies for many years. You know, businesses build profits, but people are what build those relationships that build the business. If you don't understand that simple rule, you're not going anywhere,
Right.
especially in this industry.
Oh, sure. So Julio, one of my um, problems that I've been running into with COVID is, we're out and about, we're seeing all of our people, but we're sort of limited at a lot of facilities, at most facilities,
Hmm.
limited to outside visits or lobby visits. So you're not able to get to see every single person in the facility like you were able to do, a little
Right.
over a year ago. I don't know if it's come up with your other clients. I'm sure it has.
Oh.
What would your suggestion be?
Well,
How do you
one
get
of the
around that?
things that I suggested, because like right now we're talking on Zoom,
Right.
Microsoft Teams, whatever it is, fantastic tool. All right. So here's the thing. You have a relationship with XYZ assisted living or ABC skilled nursing.
Hmm.
How are you going to maximize your reach in there? You can't just walk in and be like, "Hey Janet, hey Sally, hey Bob." You can't do that anymore.
Right.
But get creative. One of the strategies that I actually used in with one of my clients out in Arizona, which worked fantastically, is there's a lot of websites that you can do for innovative stuff. There's one called
Okay.
freebingocard.com. All right.
Yeah.
You get 30 bingo cards for free and you share them.
Hmm.
And you can actually host a fun, interactive Zoom bingo lunch and learn. And you can customize it based on the event that's going on, whatever holiday, or you can make your own board. You can do other things like have one of the big ones, you have a bottle of wine delivered to the facility, and you
Right.
can actually have a virtual wine and cheese networking event all on Zoom. You provide it, you
Okay.
send a nice gift bag, and
Yep.
it's these little tips, they actually,
Oh yeah, yeah. People like it.
yeah, it's
It's
fun,
it's
it's catchy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. The thing that I found, we like working with Zoom, or we like it as
Mhm.
much as you can, but so more the sales marketing team, they're involved in this type of exchange,
Yeah.
but the social workers, the nurses, sometimes they're a little bit tougher, because they don't have the time to sit behind a camera or do the thing. So
Yeah.
that's
That's a
and
little bit different.
right,
you know.
yeah, right,
Yeah, honestly, you have these mobile app delivery services.
yeah,
They're really your best friend.
yeah,
Hey, here you go. Like we're still in March, Social Workers
mhm,
Month.
right,
It's not going to kill you to call up Panera and deliver lunch to the social workers. Hey,
right,
from us to you, from All American Hospice to you, Happy Social Workers Month.
yeah, yeah.
You know, it's not ideal. You can't interact the same.
Right,
And
but people
now the
enjoy it.
push is on.
We've been doing similar things. I've been
Yeah.
dropping off some food. You put your sticker on it. You try to catch as many people as possible, hang out for a while.
Yep.
Some of the facilities, you can get them outside, especially with the
Yeah.
weather getting nicer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Um,
lot easier now.
So it should be a lot easier than
Yeah.
say January, February.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially here in the Northeast. Yeah, I know this winter was a little bit brutal.
right.
I think
Yeah.
at one point we got like 32 inches of snow at my house.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was bad.
Yeah. Right. Insult to injury. You're already locked in. But
Yeah.
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 So how did you get about doing your consulting across the country?
Well,
were you able to grow it because of COVID? Was that like an opportunity that you were able to jump on?
well, COVID, like just about every other business in the country, or actually in a lot of the world, it hurt me bad. I mean, I'm used to doing live. I would go to conferences, I'd meet people, you know, and getting locked down all of a sudden, just that stopped. So I had to figure out a lot of the ways to do this creatively.
Mhm.
So I started my YouTube channel. We talked about that
Yep.
before. I do my blog posting and I do direct outreach, picking up the phone. It's what it is. But what helped me is I had already been around the country doing this for a little while. I've been doing
Mhm.
this for a few years now, and that's how I was able to maintain and keep my doors open for. But as you can imagine, in home care specifically, especially now, it's a great time to be in home care. A lot of people are nervous about keeping their families in these skilled nursing facilities,
Right.
especially in certain areas like New York, New Jersey, California, where locked down worse than others.
Yeah, the hot spots, right?
Yeah. People want their families, their loved ones back home. So
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, we've seen the
how
same
it
thing. We
goes.
have definitely had an uptick in home hospice referrals.
Yeah.
People who don't want to stay in a long-term care facility
Yeah.
or don't want to go into one, so they prefer to try to stay at home as long as they can.
Right.
Um,
Right. I mean, had a couple of hospice clients across the country. It's the same concept. You guys, I know some places again picking up more than others because
mhm.
no one wants to die alone.
Right.
Personally, my own family, we've had two COVID related deaths,
Oh, wow. I'm
and
sorry.
um, thank you. And like my wife's aunt, she died alone in the hospital, and they couldn't even bury her for a week because the lockdown.
Yeah.
And it was hard. It was hard. So that's one of those things that I've been preaching all of this stuff, off the mountain. Like, look, if you can, I love the facilities. Don't get me wrong. They
Right.
definitely serve a place
Yep.
in times like this. If you can be with your loved ones, especially for closure in your own time of need, bring them home.
Right. Yeah. And I'm hoping with the changes in visitation that, the CDC is putting out, that
Yeah.
the facilities will be able to have better visitation for families.
Yeah.
I don't think I've shared it with many people, but my mom, she's okay now, but she had been in the hospital for about a month or so. And so I really empathize with people because we weren't able to visit at all.
Yeah.
You're calling in there, or my dad was calling in there trying to talk to doctors, getting different people every single
Yeah.
time. No one's really knows what's going on, or no one really knows the person's baseline because they don't know the patient as well as family
Of
would,
course. Of course.
So it's that same thing at the facility times 12, but doing it for a year now.
All right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
it's
I get it. My wife took ill in June of last year. Spent 8 days in the hospital. St. Luke's has been great. I mean, just to
yeah,
give them a little plug, because they really took care of my wife very well. But it was the same thing. I couldn't be with her.
right.
They kept her in the emergency room until everything was set up properly. But 7 days,
Mhm.
calling the nurses station, the nurses are on top of it, but like you said, you don't know what's going on. And
Right.
and that's a relatively healthy woman who
Mhm.
just took ill. So
Yep.
now I can just imagine if your loved one has Alzheimer's or some other cognitive issue, or if they
Right.
suffer, God forbid, a stroke or something along those lines,
Mhm.
or they need a service like yours, like hospice. How do you monitor this?
Yeah. Yeah. We've worked with families who had not really wanted to jump on hospice because they're like, excuse me, I haven't seen my family member in, a year. I don't really believe that they're declined this bad.
Hmm.
It's like, well, how can you explain the benefits when they don't even believe that they've declined, that they're at that point because
Right.
they haven't seen them. So
Well, denial is a big part of this business. I mean, you know that better than I
yeah.
do.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, in my career, when I've gotten them, they've still been able to, function a little bit more. I mean,
Sure.
you know,
Sure.
it's just, I don't envy your job sometimes. I can tell you.
So we're sort of going off another direction. I want to talk more about you. Um, so you've been growing your business, you've been innovating, you've been
Mhm.
doing lots of different things. Do you have any plans for the future? Anything that you want to accomplish?
Well, right now, I'm just wrapping up. I started doing a like group group coaching on business development 101. I'm actually starting a new class on April 5th, Monday, April 5th. That's a 4-week program that I just twice a week walk people through the whole thing. And also in May, I'm starting a live back in person. I'm really banking on that we're going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of faith in the vaccine and in the speed at which it's getting out there.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to be doing management training and business development training live and in person. I'm expanding, taking my consulting group, and I've starting this new arm called, the Briones Homecare Business School, where we're going to just start really teaching people how to run their business in a profitable and ethical and productive way that's going to give people what they want, and what they need.
Sounds great. Yeah. So group consulting versus individual, what do you think's better? I mean, I would think group, you get a sort of benefit because people can feed off of each other with questions that they might not have thought of.
Well,
what's your take on it?
well, okay. From my perspective, it allows me to reach more people because let's say, just for argument's sake, let's say you want to start a home care business and you're in a state like Ohio or Massachusetts where you don't really need a lot of licensing as long as you're not taking a state payer source.
Okay.
Doing the private pay business. So if you're trying to do this, you may have a limited budget. You may only have, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 to get your business going. So you need a fast result with minimal startup expense. Group consulting is good for that aspect. I can work with somebody for like this class. I work with them at $800 for the class, for the 4-week training,
Right.
where if I were to take a client on one-on-one, the expense is significantly higher.
Sure. Yeah.
So it lets me bring my overall costs down and provide, and in turn, hand it over to the client,
So it makes it more accessible for them.
For them, yeah. Where if I'm working with somebody one-on-one, obviously I can't work with other people, so I have to take the loss into account. And now we're working one-on-one. You're my only client. Now this increases the cost dramatically, and this is where it really becomes helpful. It's just lets me reach more people without hurting myself and giving people more benefit. And I also liked in the group coaching and the group consulting classes, I actually give one-on-one as part of the package. So it's
so they can send you private messages, emails, calls, whatever.
Right. One-on-one call. Hey, you don't understand something here. Reach out. We'll set up a time and we'll talk about it so that you understand this particular piece instead of having to break everything down. And these bite-sized pieces, I have found people are a lot more receptive to it.
Yeah, a little easier to digest. You can master it a little faster. You break it down in small pieces.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I got to imagine that Zoom and this type of thing has been beneficial because then you can reach people at the same time all across the country, all across the world.
Right. And that's helped in that regard too, it's technology's definitely helped, but I do miss being in front of people. I really do. Like anyone else, I've done a big part of my career has been client facing, so sales and recruiting and things of that nature. And so I would imagine like you like that interaction.
You like the feedback, right?
Yeah. And so I miss it. I can't wait to get back to it. And it's just one of those things that this has been great. It's been a great ride, but we need to get back to real life.
Yeah. And I do these, Zoom meetings. Everyone uses Zoom, but I did a go-to webinar meeting not too long ago. Yeah. And the Zoom's nice because you can see people, right? So I'm looking at you. If you're doing stuff with a group of people, you have the little faces up top, right? When you're doing the go-to webinar meeting, and this was my first encounter with it, you do the go-to webinar meeting, it's like looking in the mirror. You just see yourself. Yeah. So it's sort of different. I didn't really like that.
With Microsoft Teams, not a big fan.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you get used to it, but you don't get any feedback whatsoever.
Yeah. I like the feedback. I like feeding off of conversation. I just, that interaction is great.
Yeah. You can see if people are interested. I mean, if someone's just playing on their phone, doing their meet, or if someone's actually, engaged. So yeah, I think that's a huge part.
Exactly. Being able to read the room, that whole thing is definitely
Right.
huge. It
Yeah, you
helps.
stay on
It
one
helps in
point or
all
you move to the next thing.
aspects.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said it helps in all aspects of everything. Just making it's one of the things I was reading this morning, statistically. Just and again, it's an industry thing. Just seniors alone, there's a 70% increase in depression amongst people over 60. You
Hmm.
know, that's huge. And if you think it doesn't affect younger people, like in my age group or your age group or even younger than us, it's tremendous. The impact on the kids, it's been
Oh yeah.
I just
Yeah, I don't know the stats, but I saw that, with drug overdose, alcohol
yeah,
abuse, everything's, through the roof because of
yeah,
people either being isolated or depressed or
right,
combination of both.
right. And so, but I mean, look, we're definitely in on the right track. We are definitely heading in the right direction. Politics aside, things are moving. Whether you agree with all of it or none of it,
Right.
I do have to say we all have to agree that the vaccine is getting out quickly,
Yep.
and that it's going to help us get back to normal.
Right. Yeah. No, it'll be great. Get
Yeah,
back into some sort of normalcy. And I think with the weather, we're
yeah,
here. I'm in the Philadelphia suburbs. You're over in New Jersey. So we're in the same, weather area. But
yeah,
yeah, the weather's getting nicer. We'll be back outside. People will be able to get together and interact a little bit more.
yeah.
Definitely headed in the right
Absolutely,
direction. Yeah. But
absolutely.
yeah, so Julio, I really appreciate you taking the time. It's great, getting to know you.
Mhm.
You're
Hey,
ever in the area, or if I'm over in your area, we got to put something together in person.
absolutely. We definitely bring a lot of benefit to a lot of different people, and maybe just grab a quick bite or something.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to talk with you.
All right.
So, Briones Consulting, if you have
Yeah,
any questions, you want to grow your business,
yeah.
reach out to Julio. And I'm sure even if you just had a quick question, he'd probably
Oh
help
yeah,
you out.
I answer them. I field them all the time. And do you mind if I plug my website? I
Yeah,
mean,
go for it.
all right, yeah, it's thebrionesgroup.com. You can just find us, real easy to find. you know,
Awesome.
yeah.
And Julio, if you send me anything you want me to share, I'll put it in this video when we send it out.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, I'll definitely send you a couple of links.
All right.
All right,
Well, have a great week. It's great
you
talking
too.
with you.
All right, thanks, John.
All right. Thanks.